It'll be the first time towing heavy with the 2023 Armada. Nissan Titan pulled it no problem. Same engine in the Armada, the 5.6 liter V8. However, this has a 7-speed automatic transmission and the Titan had the 9-speed, but it is the platinum trim level, so it does have the brake package, or the towing package with the brake controller. And we're using the same weight distribution hitch that we did on the Titan. This is the Easy Lift 800, I believe. We dropped 4 links on the chain. We're about to get her set up, but we're opening some windows, let it air out on the way to the campsite. Nailed it. We're pretty confident in the older Armada's abilities because we've done some towing already. I recently picked up this 1998 Jeep Grand Cherokee with a 5.9 liter V8. It weighs about 4,300 pounds. The U-Haul trailer is about 2,200 pounds. So we're at about 6,500 pounds of towing already with the Armada, and she did pretty darn good. Travel trailer we have here is a 2024 No Boundaries 20.3. I believe it's about 5,600 pounds dry with a maximum weight of about 7,500 pounds. Tongue weight is about 750, but we'll round up to 800. It's all hooked up, and the difference between this and the Titan is that the Armada has air suspension, so this will be a totally different ride and pulling experience. Shall we go? Along with the air ride suspension in the Armada comes self-leveling, which is a nice feature to have when you're pulling a trailer like this. It obviously prevents sagging in the rear end, but it prevents the vehicle from bouncing around, which can be a dangerous situation when you're pulling a heavy trailer like this. The Nissan Titan that I had was getting up over 75,000 miles, and eventually we were into the 100,000 mile mark. So the rear suspension was a little bit soft, and it did sag a little bit when pulling this trailer. So there certainly is an advantage to having air ride and self-leveling in the Armada. With about 400 horsepower and about 415 foot-pounds of torque, the Armada made easy work of this trailer in these low mile per hour situations. When you're starting and stopping, it gets it up and going without issue. We can get into the nitty-gritty a little bit for the Armada and the trailer. As I mentioned, this No Boundaries 20.3 is about 5,600 pounds dry with a maximum weight of about 7,500 pounds. The towing capacity for the Armada is about 8,500 pounds, a little bit less than the Titan, which was about 9,300 pounds. The cargo capacity for the Armada is somewhere around 1,500 pounds, give or take, depending on which trim level you have. As I mentioned, we rounded up the tongue weight of the trailer at about 800 pounds. I think the cargo capacity for the Armada assumes 2 adult drivers, so that leaves about 800, maybe 700 pounds of cargo capacity. So we have about 100 pounds worth of dogs in the back end, and we rarely carry more than a couple of 100 pounds of clothing and supplies and things like that. So we're well under the cargo capacity limits of the Armada and certainly under the towing capacity for the truck. And even with that, we moved most of that stuff to the trailer because we are traveling with dogs in the vehicle. So we can overestimate and say we take 1,000 pounds of equipment, including food and clothing and things of that nature with us. We don't fill the water tanks, for example. So we know we're always well under the maximum weight for the trailer, and we're certainly under the maximum towing capacity for the Armada. On the way out to the campsite, it was focused mostly on how the Armada was handling the trailer for the first time, but on the way home, I decided to zero out the fuel mileage just to see how good the Armada could do. Now, around Paris Mountain in the hills and on the back roads, we got about 9.5 miles per gallon, which was a little bit better than I expected. But once we got onto the main roads and the highway, that jumped up to 11 and then 11.2, and ultimately we finished our trip at 11.5 miles per gallon, which was pretty darn good. Now, we run into a little bit of a hairy situation when trying to park our camper back in its spot. You guys will stick around for that. And also, I have some final words of feedback for you on how the Armada did overall. Here we are assessing our situation. Our storage facility is doing some construction, and where we normally turn the camper around is now a pit. So we have this very narrow space to turn this 26-foot trailer around, and on the edges is about a 10-foot drop.
Keep going.
I should have kept going. I had her kinked in a pretty tight situation there, so I just wanted to make sure I didn't hit the bumper on the trailer at all.
I think that's good.
Now, aside from it looking pretty dang good hooked up to this trailer, the Armada did a nice job pulling it, and I have some final thoughts for you here. She has plenty of power and plenty of torque to pull that trailer with no issue, and it did a good job. But we could definitely feel it behind the Armada, but I think there are a couple of reasons for that. No excuses, but the tires on the trailer are a little bit low because I did not fill them going into the season. That definitely has an impact on how the trailer tracks and feels on the highway. Another thing is the wheelbase. The Armada has a shorter wheelbase than the Titan, so of course we're going to feel the long 26-foot trailer behind us a little bit more than behind a truck. The third and probably the most important factor in why we were able to feel the trailer a little bit more behind this Armada is the tires that are installed on the Armada. They are nice Bridgestone tires, but they're not the 10-ply tires that you would want to see on a vehicle when you're pulling a 6,000, 6,500 pound, 26-foot trailer. They also have a lot of sidewall bulge, so there is a lot of flex in the sidewalls when you're putting a lot of weight on them. So going down the highway when you're feeling the imperfections, the bumps, the divots, the changes in elevation, you can feel the tires squishing behind you. And I think that probably had the biggest part or played the biggest role in being able to feel the trailer behind the Armada as we were traveling. Otherwise, the Armada did a fantastic job. I would not hesitate to pull that trailer anywhere. No Boundaries travel trailers with the Beast Mode suspension sit up a lot higher than other comparable trailers, so that's something else you have to take into consideration as well. So it's catching a lot more wind as you travel down the road. So a bigger vehicle, a vehicle with a lot more physical presence, like our lifted Nissan Titan, is going to break that surface tension in the air, making it so the trailer doesn't really catch as much wind behind it, whereas the Armada sits a little bit lower than the Titan did, so the top part of the trailer is kind of catching all that drag, all that wind resistance. So you're going to feel that in a shorter wheelbase vehicle as well. So the smaller overall physical presence and the shorter wheelbase in combination with those squishy tires, you're definitely going to feel that trailer behind you more than you would behind a big lifted truck. Another factor I'll point out is the 7-speed automatic transmission versus the 9-speed automatic we find in the Titan. I'll talk more about that specifically in another video coming up, but in this case, the 7-speed auto did just fine. We really didn't notice any difference in fuel mileage. Both vehicles get about 11 to 11.5 miles per gallon pulling the same trailer. Where I did notice a difference, however, is that the 2 additional gears in the Titan really allow the vehicle to settle into a gear a little bit easier no matter what driving situation you're in. Whereas the Armada, the lack of those 2 additional gears became apparent, where you really sort of have to figure out where the truck wants to be when you're going down the road. I found that being in tow mode when you're in town going stoplight to stoplight works best, and then you take it out of tow mode once you get on the highway and it allows it to settle in just fine. So it really isn't that big of a deal, but I thought I'd point it out. The 7-speed was just fine, great fuel mileage, plenty of power, plenty of torque. No complaints really out of the Armada and driving it. We just got to upgrade these tires, and I think we'll be golden. If you guys have any questions about towing with the Armada or with the Titan for that matter, leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, check out the channel for other Nissan Titan related videos. If you guys have any interest in that, and there's more stuff coming for the channel for the Armada and more adventures upcoming as well. So I hope you guys will stick around, subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate the support very, very much. We'll see you on the next adventure.